Hello, welcome to Regular Achievers Educational Limited, presenting Royal Tutors, your trusted support for brain friendly, high impact learning. Today, we will be looking at mastering structural devices in English language. Now, we'll be uncovering how writers shape their story and how you can also use the same trick to earn the elusive grade 9. Structural devices are the bone beneath the words. They control what readers see, feel, and think. Once you spot them, the story becomes a map and you know exactly where it's leading you. Now we'll see zoom in. Zooming in is moving from a wide view of a small detail focus that highlights something symbolic or emotional. For example, the city hummed with life, cars streaming past, lights blinking in rhythm, but in a narrow alleyway, a single cat crouched beside a, a broken crate, its eyes catching the flicker of a dying street lamp. Now here the writer zoomed in on the cat to pull out attention from chaos to quiet tension. The effect is that it builds tension and focus. Now exam hack, writers zoom in to highlight emotion or symbolism. The next structural device is zoom out. Now zooming out is moving from details to the big picture, giving readers perspective or contrast. For example, her hands trembled as she folded the letter. Outside the word stretched wide and indifferent. The sun sleeping behind rows of grey rooftop. Here the writer zoomed out, shifting from her small word to the vastness around her. The effect is to create a feeling of loneliness or insignificance. For exam hack, notice how zooming out changes emotion. The next is shifting focus. This is defined as a deliberate movement from one subject or setting to another. For example, the storm battered the ship. Below deck, the crew whispered prayers. Meanwhile, in the captain's cabin, silence pressed heavily than thunder. Now, a clear shift in focus from chaos to control. Now, the effect is to create drama and depth. For exam hack, track how focus moves through the text. The next is long and short sentences. Now, sentence length changes rhythm, mood, and emphasis. For example, he ran faster. The sound followed, then silence. Now, this is a short sentence. It may make the heartbeat of panic. Now, the other is the long sentence. He sat by the window, watching the rain streak down the glass, each drop a tiny reminder of the hour splitting away. All right, now this is a long sentence, and long sentences stretches time, building reflection. The next we're going to see are long and short paragraphs. Long and short paragraphs shows length, shape that shapes pace, focus, and tone. For example, the forest was endless, trees, shadows, whispers of wind. This is a short paragraph. Now, for space, there is an ellipsis to show you that the sentence continues for the long paragraph. She had walked for hours, blah, 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 blah. Now, the effect for short paragraph is to isolate key ideas, while the ones for long paragraph is to deepen immersion. The next is dialogue. Dialogue can be defined as character speech revealing tension, relationship, and personality. Okay, then for the example, you said you'd stay. She whispered, I didn't promise forever. Now, this the dialogue splice through description, pulling us into emotion. The effect is that it makes the scene real and immediate. The next is the cyclical structure. Cyclical structure is when a text ends where it begins, repeating an image or idea. For example, it began with silence, it ended the same way. Cyclic structure creates symmetry. For effect, it suggests closure or destiny. Then the next is flashback. Flashback is a sudden move back in time, revealing what shaped the future. For example, the scents of lavender pulled her back. Summer 1999. The garden alive with laughter and sunlight. This is a flashback, and a flashback triggered by sensory details. I think it is smell, sensory details of smell. Now for the effect, it adds emotional depth to your writing or to the writer's writing. Now this is foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is a subtle clue or warning about what's to come. For example, he laughed as the storm rolled closer. Just thunder, he said, but the sky had other plans. The storm hit or hint that trouble is brewing. Now for effect, the writer uses it to build tension and anticipation. Now, this is structure that involves new character or new setting. Now, this is introducing someone or somewhere or somewhere new to make a change or renewal. Okay. Now, for example, the train hissed to a spot. A woman stepped out. Here, a woman stepped out, her coat gleaming red against the gray platform. A new character and setting shifts the story direction. For effect, the writer uses it to signal transformation or new tension. Then the next one is juxtaposition. Juxtaposition is used or is placing side by side or placing opposite side by side to heighten their contrast. For example, the nursery smell of milk and powder outside the bombs fell. I'll take that again. The nursery smell of milk and powder outside the bombs fell. Now that's just a position of innocence and destruction. Now the writer uses it to create shock and irony. Now the last one is listing. Listing is a run of items or ideas that builds intensity or rhythm. For example, he saw the same thing every day: cracked pavement, bent streets, signs, tired faces, and the same gray sky. The listing reflects monotony. Now, for effect, the writer uses listing to reveal overwhelming repetition. Now, tips for structural analysis. Always connect structure to reader's effect. Use sharp verbs, emphasis, isolate contrast, reinforces. Follow the text journey, what changes and why. Notice beginning and end. Explain how structure mirrors emotional pace. Now for final thought. Structure isn't decoration, it's storytelling in motion. Every shift, pause, and pattern is the writer's guiding your eyes and emotion. When you can read structure, you don't just see the story, you feel its heartbeat. Thank you for watching and keep reading bravely. Bye bye.